Hello, all. I hope you all are keeping warm wherever you are and preparing for the holidays with your friends and families this month. For those of you who've seen my webinars in the past, welcome back and thank you again for joining me. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Tahsin and I am the marketing manager here at Teltonika Canada, based out of Toronto, Ontario. And I look after everything Teltonika related here that goes on in North America. So moving on from that introduction, I'd like to thank you all for joining me today for this webinar where I will be presenting IoT-enabled energy saving solutions. And just a quick announcement before I continue. If you will have any questions during the webinar, please use the designated Q&A chat for that. And your questions will be answered at the end of the webinar. So let's start. And to quickly dive in, energy. What role does it play for us here? So whenever we're converting raw materials through industrial production or converting pieces of production materials into a final product, or even the part where we're working hard to sell these goods, and we're using one or another kind of energy. And to sum it up, we're basically saying that we're dependent on energy. And not simply in the way that you think we're just plugging something in and it's running. I'm talking about the quantity and demand around it in every industry. So what do I mean by this? That brings me to my next slide here. So in more than 50 years, energy consumption per capita in North America, as you can see from this chart, has increased significantly. So if the increase in energy consumption per capita doesn't look like much to you, keep in mind that North America's population in these years also grew from 209 million to almost an estimated 580 million people in these 50 years. So that's more than 2 times the population increase here. And if we're relating this to energy consumption per capita, in general, that actually increased over 5 times based on statistics from World Bank, which is insane to see the energy demand compared to the population increase that we have here. We're obviously consuming a lot more energy than per person here. And moving on to that, the manufacturing and production sectors are the key drivers for economic growth. And according to the US Energy Information Administration, they also consume 81% of national energy resources. Insane, right? So one industry alone takes up 4/5 of the nation's energy. And a little bit more into numbers here. According to the data provided by the same source of US Energy Information Administration, residential and commercial buildings consume approximately 39% of the nation's electricity. So investment in building energy efficiency has a significant impact on direct and indirect savings, which helps to cover additional costs, providing a short return on your investment period. And if we dive deeper into the numbers, we can actually see that US electricity demand in 2022 is actually estimated to be 4,027 billion kilowatt hours. So this actually reached an all-time high in history according to the US Energy Information Administration, published by Reuters World. So as you can see, even though we had an 8-year low in 2020 due to the pandemic, we actually picked up almost instantly once everything was back up and running with no sign of shortage in our nation's demand. And this year, the energy market was actually shaken up. Comparing corresponding time periods from this and last year, electricity prices in the US, in North America in general, increased from 33% upwards to 60% in various regions. And this brings about a mess in our economical growth as businesses actually struggle to keep up with this level of inflation that has no indication of slowing down. I mean, everybody's even seen it in their own household, you know, utilities, hydro, everything just kind of going up like crazy. The inflation has taken a toll everywhere. And this winter, we're actually projecting higher numbers this time around. So The natural question here for everyone is, what are our options? With these rapid and unexpected changes in the energy market, we have this natural question that everybody at this point in time is asking. So how should we behave? Do we reduce our needs? Is that an option? Are we ready to change our lives and work style completely in order to minimize energy costs? Do we just, turn off the lights, take off a portion of like our room or like the office and just completely stop that? Is that what it is? Can we stop certain necessities and change the way we live in order to actually manage these energy costs? I don't know. Or do we save whenever we could possibly be that solution that we're looking for, like cut costs? But then again, I want to say blindly cutting costs can actually negatively impact the outcomes. And finally, this can turn out to lowered incomes and profits. You know, you don't want to just cut out certain necessities that you need in your operations or within your business that can be key drivers for incomes and profits. So that might not always be the best option. It can be an option, but not always the best. So that leads me to my third point here: optimize. Optimizing the way we operate and consuming energy could not only save on energy prices, but give us a new way of living. So optimization, as you all know, is defined as an action of making the best or the most effective use of a situation or resource. So the best option in this high price energy background would be to rethink how we use our resources and if this way is the most efficient and lets us maximize the return on the cost spent. So that leads me to my main point here and the presentation center. So this is where IoT steps in. Modern optimization processes do not only rely on your own insights or abilities to gather and analyze the data, but IoT helps to make all data gathering and analysis much easier. And this diagram in front of you, it would be wrong to believe that you could just save the cost just by installing these equipment in your ecosystem. So it's not how it works. There's actually a process behind it. And to explain this diagram a little bit better, IoT devices, sensors, or other connected equipment would actually gather the important data. It would push it through the gateway to the analytical platform somewhere in the cloud, and then the process data would give you the insights needed to take the right actions to save the cost necessary. So it's really as simple as that. And this is where Teltonika Network steps in. So this leads me to highlight the benefits of IoT in energy consumption performance. But before that, I want to actually give you some pointers on how it would be like without the benefits of IoT. So without IoT solutions, you actually have to pick up all the needed data manually and process them only after the certain time period when collection is over. So not only do you have manual data readings and post metrics, the slow process of collecting the data gives no ability to actually have in advance notifications of possible issues, which in turn would prevent you from planning your actions in advance. And all of this makes an impact as it actually may lead to irrational cost management across your business operations. So to simply put it, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, as the saying goes. And moreover, your ability to only react to the results of the inefficient use of resources leads to delayed decision making. So can inefficient resource management and late decision making lead to a great outcome? Obviously, as you all know, 99% of the time in cases it can. So given that, I'm going to move on to the data acquisition with the help of IoT. So what are the benefits here? The set of IoT devices actually enables remote and automated data readings from all of your equipment across your network infrastructure. And nevertheless, all the data can actually be pushed out to the analytical platform of your choice. And then the automated data analysis allows you to get the information from the process data. And this data amount is actually much bigger than you think, which would be overwhelming and time consuming for the manpower assigned to analyze and report this on demand. So it's simply an inefficient use of your resources. So predictive maintenance plays a really important role in this case. The sensors and analytical systems can predict and show you where next possible issues can occur within your equipment. So the fault of the equipment is not always seen right away, and not always is it critical as well, but it can contribute to the waste of resources. So for example, bearings stuck in the conveyor belt wouldn't stop the line, but it will increase the demand for the power consumption of the driving motor. And another example is a leaking pneumatic lines in your manufacturing facility. The compressed air will actually leak from them, making your compressor work more and consuming more energy. So having these on-time alerts would actually help you avoid these unsavory costs through these unpredictable cases of energy waste. And then, thanks to IoT, the gathered process and provided data of resource management is way more comfortable, and I could say a lot easier. You know, you get process data for the decision making, and finally you have on-time control. And this quite complicated process after the implementation would lead you in a more efficient resource management and much higher control of all of the processes, giving you that optimized solution that you've been looking for. So to sum up why it's worth to implement IoT solutions to monitor and control your energy consumption, it's the ability to make a decision at the exact time when it's needed. So in short, IoT devices somehow would not save you energy costs by itself, but they will actually enable you to make those on-time decisions. To support and summarize this, I actually would like to present you all with some real-life use cases that we've done in the past here at Teltonika Networks. So let's take industrial manufacturing, for example. As the human workforce is gradually being phased out in favor of autonomous machines, there is actually great potential for IoT connectivity to reshape the way this industry is consuming energy. And as you can see here in this diagram, from top to bottom, this solution actually begins with a solar inverter. The inverter is connected to our TRB-140, the industrial gateway, via an Ethernet cable, and this compact and energy efficient gateway then wirelessly relays the data to the distributed energy resources management system. So while that takes place on the roof, on the production line level, we have the production lines wirelessly connected to our powerful RET-X11 cellular router. So through that, the routers are also connected connected smart sensors installed on the ceiling, including a temperature sensor to help the HVAC unit to maintain optimal temperatures, and a luminosity sensor to switch off the lights when available daylight is sufficient, and a motion sensor to detect any irregular activity that may disrupt production, giving you that on-time alerts. The data here is then relayed to the distributed energy resources management system, which can now maintain a comprehensive picture of the line's real-time performance and consumption behavior. So both the RET-X11 and the TRB-140 are actually industrially designed and are built with durability and easy installation in mind. So both devices are compatible with our remote management system, as you can see on this diagram here, for simplified remote access and the maintenance. So what did we get from this? The automated manufacturing plants have a great potential for implementing smart real-time monitoring of renewable energy generation and the consumption of it. So in this case, the RET-X11 cellular router and TRB-140 industrial gateway joins forces in this use case to establish a system of connectivity that relays energy data from both inside and outside the manufacturing plant with efficiency and ease. So another use case here we have, before I go on to that, I want to start with if any of you have ever thought about how much money it takes to maintain your office building. How much does it cost one day of having working cooling and ventilation systems, printers and computers and all the tech around it? What is the main energy source of this process? You know, according to statistics, electricity is the most consumed energy resource for the office applications. And the dramatic number here it comes, is more than 30% of the electricity that is used in the office or in any office in general is wasted, you know? And in this situation, comes the natural, feeling, or, the realization that something is not right when 30% of electricity is wasted. The situation actually creates that natural demand to reduce electricity costs by optimizing office ecosystems and in the long run reach cost saving goals. So what can be done with the help of IoT and smart devices here? That leads me to the solution here. So as it was mentioned before, with the help of IoT, electricity cost monitoring and management can improve commercial buildings' energy efficiency. So the modern office is filled with lighting, heating, and air conditioning systems, devices like computers, monitors, printers, etc., coffee machines, and all of these things are continuously plugged in using significant amounts of electricity. So our suggestion here is to monitor the process by sending all the data to the building's energy management system. So it's challenging because of the large amount of data, speed, and the security around it, as well as the other requirements that are needed. But with our professional Ethernet router, the RETX10, the strong and reliable network connection and data collection and transmission processes are made and integrated within their system. So the building's energy management system can uninterruptedly do its job. So this solution actually allows you to reduce electricity consumption by taking actions by analyzing gathered real-time data. So that's one of the solutions as to how we went ahead and saved on electricity costs. And what was the outcome? Smart energy management system not only could help to save up to 80% of wasted energy, but it also has indirect benefits too. So offices with energy management systems are actually seen to increase not only in efficiency, but gets up to 35% higher rental values and up to 18% higher occupancy rates. So in sales, these offices actually get up to 17% increase. So these are some of the outcomes. Not all of them, but some of the main ones that we like to highlight here in this case. So now moving on, I'm pretty sure all of you guys have noticed that one device here is actually playing an irreplaceable role in these situations when it comes to energy cost management and more, you know. And I'm sure you guys have already kind of figured it out. It's the networking equipment, the router or the gateway, which is the connecting link in all of these IoT solutions. So without the ability to send and receive gathered information, the world of IoT would not exist. And whenever you all are choosing the connectivity equipment, keep in mind that these three criterias here, reliability, security, and ease of use, are the main points. A router or gateway is a part of the IoT ecosystem and plays important roles in providing network connectivity to other system components. And if the router fails, your entire system may collapse. So secure networking equipment ensures that the system will be resilient to cyber threats. And then finally, having the easy to use devices that will simply, make the daily jobs for your engineers easier and let you save costs on integration and management when choosing an IoT solution for your business. You want to have that easy to use device, that is, not only just plug and play, but the onboarding and everything of your entire infrastructure is made simple. So whenever you have a need for expert advice for the connectivity solution, I encourage you all to actually get in touch with our sales team here and our experts and discover what Teltonika networks can help your business achieve. So that concludes my presentation. I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this long presentation, and I'd like to move on to the Q&A session here. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this webinar, that I'll be looking at all the questions in the Q&A chat. So let me go ahead and start this. Okay, so this is a pretty good question here from one of our guests. Are there standardized analytical platforms, or is it a whole DIY design build project of which the IoT is a relatively small component? Good question. So the answer here is that the solutions that I presented to you all, the analytical platforms that we're actually presenting here can either, in some cases, or in the cases that you've seen, some are their own in-house third-party analytical platforms that they have. Their, energy management system within the building, or the energy management system within the manufacturing facility. But we also have our own analytical platforms that are, able to, we can integrate a whole bunch of, for system integrators, they can integrate their own software within the platform. And we have a whole bunch of features inside of there within RMS VPN Connect management that allows you to collect the data from all of the devices, the Teltonika IoT devices, or even third-party devices that will allow you to collect all the analytics on time with real-time data and all these other things. So we have RMS as well as the ability to integrate your own software or your own third-party software or device onto the platform or a network infrastructure. We've kind of given the freedom to you guys. So from your experience, what is the return of investment period when upgrading the energy monitoring system to IoT-enabled one? So this actually depends on the scale of your solution. So in some cases, for some businesses, you will see the return on investment right away, depending on where the whether your scale of IoT implementation is going ahead and being integrated on top of your existing solution, or are you going ahead and cleaning your entire setup, throwing everything away, and then integrating a whole new network infrastructure. So the return on investment period can vary based on the case. So that again also, depends on the type of solution that you are looking at. Sometimes it can be fast, sometimes it can take a long time. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you for asking that. And I want to wrap this up as it has taken up some time with this Q&A session. And I want to thank you all for joining us, joining me today. And as always, thank you for the attendance. Don't forget to follow us on social media platforms, and please subscribe to the newsletter to get all the notifications if you want to stay up to date with Teltonika networks. And yeah, I hope all of you have wonderful holidays and a happy new year to everyone. Thank you.